Welcome to the Divorced and Happy podcast, where we discuss all things Act 2. I'm your host, Sadie Marie. I'm so excited you could join us for this Divorced Mom Moments Roundtable chat. I gathered 3 generations of divorced moms from all over the country to discuss motherhood after divorce. And the conversation is rich and covers all the juicy topics like co-parenting, career changes, of course, dating, how to handle the holidays after divorce, self-care, and also what we're learning about ourselves in our Act 2. We're all at different stages in our divorce journey, but we have a couple things in common. First, our deep love for our children, and also our commitment to a happy life.
Well, ladies, I am so excited to see all of your lovely faces. We're going to have an amazing time tonight together to have some mom time. Moms are in the house tonight. I would love to know right out of the gate if we could discuss these mom moments, these divorced mom moments. Now, 2020 gave us a few. I am sure of that. I know I definitely had some mom moments in 2020. Who would love to share her mom moment with us?
I'm Janet Fogg from Hudson, Wisconsin, and I was divorced and on my own for about 12 years. I remarried, and I've been remarried for 32 years now. That's my story. But when I was first divorced, I remember it was in the state of Virginia, and they do things just a little differently there in that, we filed all the paperwork, etc., and it just kind of forgot about it. And I came home with the kids, picked them up, scooped them up after work from daycare, and there was my divorce paper taped to the front door. And I thought, it was very final. But it was just interesting because I just said to the kids, that's just the letter from Daddy, And we just went in the house and that was fine. But I just remember thinking to myself, it's really final.
Thanks for sharing that, Janet. Yeah, it is an adjustment to realize you've been divorced. You are divorced. I agree. It does take some time to resonate with that.
Well, I'll go. I'm Susan, and I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I divorced when my boys were 4 and 8, pretty small. And I remember one of my big worries was, what are they thinking about our family now? How do they view And my little bit older son, the 8-year-old, was given a task not too long after the divorce to do a family crest in school. And I thought, wow, what is this going to look like? So he came back and he showed me what he drew. And it was these 3 wolves. And there was a chain that was a triangle around the 3 wolves. And I said, what is? And he said, well, wolves protect their pack. He said, we're a pack of 3. And he said, the chain is that we're always going to be together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Blew my mind. Wow. 8-year-old came up with this. And I was so touched that he saw that we still were a family unit and we were strong and we were going to stay strong. And that just blew my mind.
I love it. Well, I can go. I am Miss Rebecca, and I'm located in Michigan, and I'm actually very recently divorced. It's been 10 months, so it was a COVID divorce, I'm going to say, and for a reason. My ex is still in Texas. We moved from Texas to Michigan. Our divorce was finalized in July of 2020. However, we didn't find out that it was finalized until October because of COVID, because we never went to court. Everything was done via email. I never even met my lawyer in person. So it was very different. And so we were still living together up until September. And it was very weird. I believe. But so that's kind of, I'm 10 months in so far. And my very recent divorce bond moment, when it kind of hit me, was on Valentine's Day. Our boys are 10, 6, and 2. And on Valentine's Day, they're all excited from getting little cards and whatnot from school. And my 6-year-old, who is very just blunt, matter of fact, says, Mom, who's going to be your Valentine? And I just kind of looked and I was like, Mommy doesn't need a Valentine, And my 10-year-old was like, well, you don't need a boyfriend yet. And I was like, my gosh, are they really having this conversation right now? We were in the car, we were driving. And so then I kind of started explaining to them what Valentine's was for and took it to a whole different level so they could get off of me. But that was definitely my moment. Okay, this is done now. And my kids are contemplating whether I'm going to start dating someone else. And, what is that going to look like? And Mom, you're alone, right? So that was my moment this past February.
I am Nicole. I'm actually recently divorced as well. It just got finalized in September. Well, actually, I think it was this year, sometime this year. I don't know. It was a 2-year process. So my moment is my little girl's 4. So she doesn't really know exactly what's going on. She actually just turned 5. So she doesn't really know because he worked away a lot. He was a lineman, so he traveled all the time. So I was really good at keeping myself together, except for those sometimes when you get something from their lawyer that you don't like, that you read and instantly you just get so mad. And when I get mad, I cry. So I'm sitting there bawling. I'm trying not to because she's right there. And she just comes over and, she pats my back and rubs my back and she's like, "It's okay, mommy." And cuddles up with me. So like that whole time during those years of divorce, I was questioning, am I doing the right thing? I just would always question myself because I was so beat down, After that moment, I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. So that's my moment.
Absolutely you are, Miss Nicole. And what state are you from? You're from Kansas, right?
I'm from Kansas, yes.
From
I'm
Kansas.
so sorry.
Precious. Miss Shauna, how about you?
Yes. I'm Shauna, big state of Texas. I'm actually in Round Rock, just north of Austin. Great city. If you get a chance to visit, please don't move here. We have everyone moving here. Yeah. Austin's great. So I guess my mom moment is actually a little bit more of a weird divorced mom moment, perhaps a little inspirational. I have actually been divorced 3 times, and this most recent time was almost 6 years ago. So it's been quite a while. The moment that comes to mind this 3rd time around was how I did divorce right, if there's even such a thing. But really,
the world, how did you do that?
Well, I'm a work in progress, but
we all are.
My moment was Christmas. It was before COVID, because he and I have a really great co-parenting working relationship. We don't particularly like each other or get along very well, but we work well together. And so it was Christmas Day. My best friend was over with her son. I did not have my kids that Christmas. And I noticed somewhere along the way, a Facebook post or something, that he did not have plans for them that afternoon or that evening. So I had invited him kind of in passing to come over for Christmas dinner if they wanted to. I am always a fan of sharing holidays because it gets me a chance to see my children on a holiday that I would otherwise be sharing. And so he's very non-committal. This is how he rolls. So he didn't say yes or no. And then next thing I know, we're sitting down to dinner and there's a knock at the door. And I said, "Oh, I forgot I invited him to come." And so then he came in and the kids were there and everybody's having dinner together. And it wasn't until my best friend and her son had left later that evening, and she told me, he was in the car and said, "Oh my gosh, do they always do that? What? He came for Christmas dinner." It was so bizarre to him because it's so atypical, right? Like it's not usual. It's not a typical situation, but it was very indicative of how we do the holidays and how we try to share our time with our children and do what's best for them, which again, we didn't get there overnight, but it's really kind of an inspiring story. I think that it is possible.
It absolutely is. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Tori, how about you?
So I'm Tori. I'm from Ohio, but I am stuck on the Jersey Shore for the next 18 years. I was divorced November of 2018. I was with my ex-husband for about 7 or 8 years. I left him when my youngest was 4 months old, and my kids are exactly 2 years apart. So they were 4 months old and 2 years and 4 months old. They're now 3 and 5 years old. So the divorce took a while. And I tried moving back to Ohio when I left him, and he put a stop to that with the courts. So I can move back to Ohio, but I cannot move my children back to Ohio ever. So I'm stuck there with no family, no nothing. So I guess that's like an aha mama moment, is that no one warned me that if you moved away from your parents when you were younger because you were a rebel and a wild child, that you could get divorced and have kids and then get divorced and never be able to move back to near your family. I didn't know that my life would take me down this path. So I saw this quote earlier, and I'm going to read it. It says, "No one's coming to save you. This life is 100% your responsibility." So I grew up thinking and like being around that men are the providers, and I mean, it's 2021, so that's like not really how it is, but in my mind, like that's just how I grew up. So
I think a lot of us were conditioned to think that way.
So I was just like, I need to get married. I need to find a guy. I need to get married. I need to settle down. And I always knew I wanted to be like a young mom. So I had kids with him, but I didn't think like, oh, is he the one for me? Are we going to be like longevity forever? And the only reason we were married for 7 or 8 years was because I grew up Catholic, and I just stuck with him for a very long time, longer than I should have at all. And I never wanted to be the breadwinner or the care provider or the boss or whatever. I wanted a man to take care of me. And I still like want that. But that quote that I saw today, it hit me in the heart. No one's coming to save you. This life is 100% your responsibility. Like, you can't rely on a man. You can't be thinking that men are the providers, that this is what you have to look for, because anything can happen. Divorce. I can't rely on anybody ever again. So.
Well, you can rely on yourself.
Yeah,
I think you're doing that. I think that's what's so
You'll
beautiful
find
about
someone.
it.
The thing is, when you stop looking, you're everything that you can be. That's when you meet the right people, because they accept you for who and what you are. For me, the best thing that ever happened to me was my ex-husband he was a restaurant manager, and he ran off with the hostess. Or I might still be married to him, because when you say you were raised Catholic, I mean, I was raised like, you got to hang in there,
Right.
And we were miserable. So I thought that was the best thing that could ever happen to me. And that would maybe happen for you, that your husband will find someone else that he could be interested in and be busy and release his hold on you.
I love that. So we have some burning questions for each other tonight. Rebecca, I would love to hear what your question is for the group.
It's so funny because Shauna actually hit my biggest burning question on the nose. So my ex and I are still very good friends, and we still love each other very much. Our divorce was pretty complex, and kind of like Shauna was saying, we divorced for love because it was the best thing for both of us. He has some health concerns, to say the least, and they just weren't being met. So it wasn't a safe situation for us and the children anymore. So my question is, do you feel that it's confusing to the children to still do family activities and holiday activities? We've definitely communicated to them, and they know very well that we're not together. However, am I instilling hope when we do these things? Or I don't know.
I have an experienced answer for you. Okay, because Jim, my second husband, he thought he had to do that because he loved his kids so much, and he didn't want to, even though they were like 18 and above when we got married, his ex-wife yanked that chain, like, we got to do the holidays, yada, yada, yada. So he would go do the holidays. And Mom here like, and that finally faded away. But I will tell you that our oldest son is a lawyer in Seattle. And we flew in to meet him. I'll never forget. We had to go, his daughter, we're going to go see her in her ballet. And we were going to go pick her up from her lesson. And he took this quick detour to a bar, and he bought us a couple martinis. And he said, "Dad, I want to tell you something. I know what you did you thought was right, but it was wrong."
Interesting.
And we were very confused because, you see, kids never give up hope that you will get back together. And so they could never really grieve. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because everybody's, that was something, even though I'm there and they were at my wedding, they could get rid of me any day. You know what I'm saying? That was his take on it. And a lot of them too, they were very angry with their dad, but it was good to everybody talk about it. It was great that it took, for him to become a young adult and, everybody bring that to the table. So I don't know what the answer is for everybody. I thought that was a good thing for him too, because his ex-wife was so neurotic about it and he never wanted to hurt the kids, kind of thing. And he got pulled in that direction. But sometimes you have to be like, this is real.
Yeah, and I think I agree with most of what you said. But at the end, I think you hit the nail on the head in that everyone's co-parenting situation will look different. And I think my advice is always to trust your gut and do what you think is best and let your kids lead the way. For me personally, my son is about to turn 12 and my daughter is 8. I went under the assumption in the beginning that this was the best for both of my children. And I thought that it would be the least confusing for my daughter I have 4 children. I have bigs and littles, different fathers. But my older girls, they had the worst of the worst scenarios. So they had the parents who can't be in the same room, cannot, tension at the soccer games. So I did everything I could to avoid that, just knowing that was a very uncomfortable, tension-filled childhood experience for them. Now that they're older, they're 25 and 27, they've shared with me that it wasn't terrible. They're not traumatized, which is reassuring as a mom. But for my littles, I really didn't want that sort of an environment for them growing up. However, I thought that it would be the least confusing for my daughter, who was 2 at the time. She doesn't remember her dad and I ever being together. She doesn't remember us living in the same house. So I thought it would just be easy for her because this is all she ever knew. When in fact, it was very, very confusing. So she has probably had the most issues out of all 4 of my children, just really coming to terms with the fact that we're not together. We're not going to live in the same house. And it was less about her worrying or wanting or hoping mommy and daddy to be together again. And it was more about just being hard and difficult for her to live in 2 different houses. So it was more of just, I don't understand. You guys get along. Why do we live in 2 separate houses? My lovey's over there. I want it over here. Just things like that were difficult for her. So all of that to say, I think that your children can be a really good guidance system, and you can lead them and they can lead you, and trust your gut, and you'll know what's best for you and your family.
And they're also stronger than you think. I mean, they really are.
For sure.
Smarter. They're smarter because they know more than you think.
I agree with all of that, especially the let your kids be your guidance, because I am divorced and I also went through my parents divorcing when I was 16. Terrible age for girls. Oh my gosh. So I was mad at the world, them not acting because they still get along. Them being friends and still doing family things really did help me, but that may not be the case for every kid, but it did help me when I was 16.
It just depends on where you're at. Right. And how long they do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And when they're old enough to give them the choice. My older son remembers much more of the issues in the marriage than my younger one does. So that simply means he decided to opt out of doing stuff with dad at some point. He still does begrudgingly once in a while, but it's his decision. And when I thought he was old enough to make that decision, I let him make it. There's no forcing him if that's not what he needed or wanted. So they'll get to the age where they're going to tell you how they feel.
Oh, yeah. But when I say they're smarter than you, they know. They know. And he's always going to be their dad.
Right.
They're always going to love them. And so why should they not like you for saying those? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it's just counterproductive.
So far, so good in terms of the co-parenting and the communication.
Nice.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Such rich wisdom in this group. I can't wait for the next burning question. How about Nicole? Do you have a question you'd love to ask the ladies?
Of course. I'm going to explain a little bit what made me think of this question. Just like Tori, I was raised, a man does it, and I had that because there was no reason for me to work when I had a little. I would have just been working to pay daycare. Anyways, though, this whole divorce thing, he decided to leave randomly. And when he did that, he changed all of his bank accounts. I was here with the bills, the house. He'd give me like $300 every month because I was like, hey, we need food, Elite needs diapers. And he was just a jerk. There's no other way to put it. So I kind of had a pity party for myself for about a month,
We've all been there.
Yeah. I was like, and then one time I was watching this lady go live and I was like, all right, time to snap out of it. So I took what I did for fun and I turned it into a paycheck. So I absolutely love what I do. And now I can support my family, that's really the best thing, honestly. So my question
It
for
is
you guys
amazing.
is,
before you ask your question, Nicole, what is it that you heard from we were all like waiting to hear.
What do you do?
Tell us.
I'm sorry. I'm really artsy. And so I make custom tumblers and like epoxy things. Like I make pins. I'm putting these together to ship tomorrow. So it's like glitter or like man cups, so that's what I do. So my question is, if you're not happy in a career you love, what's holding you back?
Ooh.
Well, can I start with this one? Because
yeah, please.
My ex was part of what was holding me back. I was in a career that I love, and I'm still in that career. However, he was preventing me from flourishing. And so that was, even as much as me going back to school to get my doctorate, he's like, no, no, you're not going back to school. And so that lack of support was definitely a contributing factor. And so now I have that freedom to follow my dreams and to, achieve these things that I wanted for myself, but mostly for my family. And that was the one thing that he didn't get, was that I'm trying to help build our empire as a family. So now I look at it as I'm building a legacy for my sons, and I'm allowing them to see. I thought in the beginning that I left their father because I was trying to save them. I realized that I had to allow them to see me save myself. And in doing so, me pursuing all my goals, I feel will help them to be better men.
Part of my why is to build a legacy for my kid and show her that she can do anything. Like, that just made me so happy you said that.
Well, we all have to make a living pretty much, right? Once the divorce happened, as you put it, it's 100% your responsibility now. And I literally looked around for some groups that would help me. And I went to a place that taught women how to do business. And then I also went back to school and got a little mini MBA in business, because I said, you know what? If nothing else, if I don't find a job out there, I'll create the job. And, you get really crafty when you're divorced, don't you? You're just like, all of a sudden it's like, but you just tread these waters you've never tread before. If somebody told me I'd have my own business and I started this in 2014, I would have said, you're crazy. I don't want to do it. But it's been amazing. I've learned so much, no matter where I go with it, no matter how long. I have gained all these skills I never knew I was capable of. And what a great thing to come out of kind of being forced to support yourself. I've always had my own jobs. I never quit working totally when I was married, because I couldn't depend on my ex. So that left me in a place where I had to keep my skills up.
It's exciting. I mean, I do enjoy learning. I think sometimes, though, for me, it's the energy, ladies. Like, look at all that we do in a day. We do a lot. And after you work a 12-hour day, it's finding more energy to do the next thing. So for me, I think it's like, what is my life work balance, right? Which, Susan, that leads to your question.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you ladies struggle with this, but I love having a business. I love having a podcast. I love having time with friends. I love having time with myself, etc. But there's only so much time in a day, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have to do our laundry.
I know.
You might have to make a
clean the bathrooms.
For me, I know. Clean the bathrooms. Exactly.
You cannot sit down. That's the key. You can never sit
down. And then you don't get up. So, Susan, I want to hear your burning question, please.
All right. Well, it was a great segue there, because once we've got the children. The children are number one, and you've got to take care of these little people that you created and you love. But to do so, you have to have a job. And to have the job and the children, you have to keep yourself going. It's this little triangle of things that have to happen all at the same time. And I know when I did 3 jobs right after my divorce. I took on 3 different jobs, one of which was managing the apartment we live in. I'd never managed
good for you.
Apartment before. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it gave me a place to live.
Right.
And so, how do you, my thing is about work and life balance. You've got to make sure you're refilling yourself. You got to make sure those kids are getting what they need, especially now, because things have changed so much for them, and you have to do a career. One of the things I did, which I was really glad, is I had been part of women's networking groups before this, and I had a really good friend who ran one, and she stepped up and made me not hide. She said, you're coming, you're going, you're going to get involved. We're going to get you through this. And having that support group was huge. And the other thing I did is I found a separated and divorced group. It was a non-denominational thing, and it had kid care in it. And you could get different speakers to come and tell you about what might be coming and things like that. But the best thing that came out of that was I was feeling such guilt that I had to spend all this time on work, and I was so worried about how the kids were going to come out of it. And one of the young women in that group told me, I'm the daughter of a divorced single mom. She said, I want to tell you something. Stop it. She said, I appreciate my mom. I appreciate everything she ever did for me. And I noticed from a very young age. And that hearing that at that time when I was trying to get a work-life balance was tremendous. So my question to you is, how are you doing it, ladies? How are you managing the work and the life balance now that you've gone through the divorce?
Well, I could go. I think for me, having done this a few times, life as a single mom is not for the faint of heart. I tell people.
Here, here.
We do all the things and juggling balls nonstop. And, I can change diapers with my eyes closed, I tell people. But the key for me that I did not learn until very, very recently was this whole concept of self-care. So the whole idea of filling my cup so that I can then fill up others made me a better employee. It makes me a better mom, but it kind of ties into the previous question as well, because what I realized was what was holding me back from starting my own business was the fact that I was employed in corporate America. So it wasn't until I lost those 2 jobs as a single mom that I realized, okay, if not now, when? And it lit a fire under me to do the things that I really was being called to do. And the fact that I'm doing fulfilling work that I love, I can do more without being as tired. So the fact that I'm filling my cup and I'm focusing on self-care and doing what I know that I need as a person first and foremost, and then I'm able to balance a whole lot better the work and the home and all the things that we do, all the things.
For me, it's the consistency. My work is actually with children. And so I know how important that is, having that consistency still with them. So I make sure that I spend individual time with each of them. I'm very scheduled. So they have like a schedule in their room of everything that happens in addition to our alone time. And so there's a picture. We have pictures of each of us together. And so if the picture's up with me and that particular child, that's our time together and the other ones can't disturb us. And so they know that. They get that. It's our little fun time together. Nice. And then at night, we have a bedtime routine that we follow religiously. And so keeping those things has helped me to prioritize my own time. Do I find balance? No, I like to call it harmony, because I just make my own little music and I change it because every day is a little different. But those things keep me consistent. Just having, those few little things that I do and stop what I'm doing in order to make those things happen.
I like that.
A lot of what we've talked about is about being very scheduled and how do we balance the needs of our children and our work. I wasn't hearing a whole lot of how we're feeding ourselves and what we're doing for self-care. So I wanted to kind of ask, what is your go-to self-care and what does self-care mean to you?
I think my divorce helped me really develop self-care because I was not good at it prior. I gave so much to my children, my husband, ex-husband, my career, that I was not giving much at all to myself. And my divorce really taught me that I need to give to myself first, so that I can be in a good space to be giving back to others, to be the professional that I want to be the friend that I want to be. My self-care is so critical. I mean, one thing that I have learned to do, ladies, that I never did before is to sit and do nothing. And I consider that self-care. I consider that self-care, where I can just stare out the window and do absolutely nothing. It is the best feeling. Never used to do that before my divorce.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're kind of getting around. I mean, I don't know if I can jump in with my burning question, because it's kind of like what we're all talking about is, who are you now? I mean, when you're divorced, who are you? I didn't know what kind of music I like, or, what were the things that I really like, because I didn't take the time to discover that. Now is the time of that discovery. Like you're saying, you're discovering all those things. It's a wonderful thing. It's a little perplexing at first when it's like, whoa, what do I want to do? What do I like? And it's okay to give yourself permission to have those, those needs and those wants.
Tori, I'd love to hear from you. What does your self-care look like as a young mom with such a busy life?
There's no self-care here. I can't afford it. Even though my nails are done, so I look.
You look great, by the way.
I haven't had my nails done in like years, and I literally just got them done last week for the first time. So I don't have self-care. I can't afford it. I can't do it.
But let's ladies in the group, what else can self-care look like besides spending money on ourselves?
Health day. I just took a mental health day with a friend the other day. She was having a rough time. She told me she'd never been to the Como Zoo. We stopped work. We got in the car. We went to the zoo. We walked through and looked at that and the plants.
Which is free,
and
by the
talked.
way.
Free.
Como Zoo
There
is
we
free.
go.
So finding
And being
fun,
with
free
a
things.
friend. Right. Being with a friend, being outside, that's a mental health day for me.
Yeah.
And I did work again that afternoon, but it was a breeze because my mind was free and it had nothing to do with purchasing anything. It was literally just a day to be free with a friend outside.
Okay, so
You know, Tori has a little problem because you're away from your family.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a lot of people to help you, do you, Tori? Where they give you time.
I don't have a lot of people to help me, and that is why I date a lot. Like a lot of men. I'm dating a lot of men.
Good for
and
you.
they're all so helpful to me. Like,
I have some help there.
I say, good for you, Tori.
I
You
know.
date
I
those
want
gentlemen.
find my person really bad, and I want to have that one person, but I feel like I just have so many guys that are willing to help me with anything. Like I had a guy today, not borrowed, he has a truck, so I had to go pick up my bike, and he did that for me. And then I had another guy come over today who's a cop. He's one of those cops with the drug dogs that he totes around. And he put up all this stuff in my house, mirrors, like picture frames, like all these
A
things.
handyman.
Yeah. So I just have men that are helping me, like my family around to help me.
We're all like,
That
wow.
it sounds like that. It sounds like that's your self care to me.
I was going to
Tori.
say that's your self-care.
It also sounds very resourceful, Tori. I commend you on your resourcefulness.
Although I do want to mention that, for me, especially since our uncoupling, my biggest self-care has been saying no. I'm an empath and I give.
Yes. Yes.
And so people are always asking me to do things and I overextend myself, that's why I said, back in the other question when we were talking about, balance and harmony, and it changes for me daily. And so that's the biggest thing that I've done is start saying no for me, because I just can't do it. Normally I would have went ahead and did it, even if I was tired, even if I had to drive a long way, no matter what it was, I'd still do it. I just can't anymore. I have to put myself first in this healing process that I'm in. And so that's what I'm doing. So that's kind of my self-care.
You're very in tune with yourself, and I love it. You know exactly what you need and what you want and why you divorced, and you just have I feel like you have all the answers, and you know everything that's going on in your heart.
No, thank you though. I'm a therapist. I'm trained to know.
Hence the empath.
Hence the empath, yeah. But no, I don't know. I have had to spend a lot of time, like Janet was saying, getting to know myself again. I lost so much of myself within my marriage. I lost my confidence. I lost my security.
Yeah.
I lost the ability to love myself. And so if nothing else, over this almost a full year now, that is what I have been invested in.
Good for you.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Tori, we want to hear more about your dating, but I know you have a hot topic, burning question around dating for the group, and I am so curious what it is.
All right, so just like a real quick one, I don't know who's dating or not in here, but I just want to know what platforms or outlets you guys are using to find people to date. But my biggest question is, do you think that one soulmate exists, or do you think that our aura and our energy changes over time and we adapt and grow with whoever we're with at the time? Therefore, do you believe in multiple partners in our life? Because I always grew up with, you need to find that person, that one person, your soulmate. But now that I've gone through a divorce and I'm dating a lot of people and finding myself again, I feel like there's so many people in your lifetime that they're supposed to be at that little phase along the way.
Listen, the girl who's been married 3 times says there's not just one. Okay.
I feel that there are many soulmates. I mean, I feel my girlfriends are my soulmates.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't just see a soulmate as a someone that I'm romantically interested in. Is that something you
Absolutely not.
hearing
I mean,
resonate?
I've got soulmates that are, I mean, trust me, they're deeper than any man thing.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Tori. It's a loaded question. First of all,
It is.
I think we could go into a whole nother podcast and discuss that one. For me, well, one, let me say, I've been on one date in the last 10 months. I've actually been struggling in that area because I realized that I don't want to settle anymore, and I also don't want to date potential. It's a little challenging, and I've been on one date and it was out of state. Yeah, he lives out of state, and so that makes it a little bit challenging right now because of COVID. I'm struggling in that area. And
how'd you guys go on a date if you guys are in 2 different states?
I went there. I drove there. He's in Chicago, and then so I drove 3.5, 4 hours there, and yeah. But I needed to get away, so it was a combined effort that particular weekend. But so it's been hard for me. I did join a couple of dating apps, mostly got catfish there, and it was just really weird for me, so I got off of those. So I've definitely been struggling in that area. I am hoping to get to the place where I'm ready to receive my next husband, because I'm definitely not there yet, but I am open to it in the future.
I would say don't let everyone push you in that direction. That, for me, everyone was fixing me up with all these people they thought were just so perfect for me. It was the answer for me. And I mean, I felt like I wasted so much time being spun around because I wasn't ready. So it's okay to take that time and discover yourself. And like when you're ready, then you can maybe say to those people, okay, I'm ready or whatever. But I felt like I got pulled around by the nose by so many people in the beginning like that. And it took me a while to be able to figure out what I really wanted.
And there's so many people who think you're not complete without a man, and let's set you up and you have to be with someone, which is nonsense. But I say, ladies, be picky as hell and be very specific in what you're looking for. And I think, Tori, to answer your question, my opinion is that we're always evolving, and if you believe in energy and vibrational matches, like our energetic match is always changing. And I think there's infinite possibilities at any given time for you to be matched up with a bunch of different people. And it's up to you to realize who you are and what you want and be specific about being a match for that.
I love that answer, Shauna. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Because I don't know about all you, but I am not the same person I was when I got married. I am a very different person from that woman who got married. And I think whatever the person, the soulmate is attracted to who you are now.
Yes.
And there are all these possibilities. Remember this, ladies? I'm going to leave you with this wisdom, okay?
Yeah.
Kidney stones and bad marriages, all right?
Yeah.
Yes. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
What Rebecca said is that she went on one date in 10 months because she's not wanting to settle. She knows what she wants. She's picky, whatever. But I feel like I definitely agree with her. I'm so picky. If I were to give you my list of a man that I'm looking for, like, he almost doesn't even exist. That's how picky I am. And I am not willing to settle. But that's why I'm going on. I have 3 men a week that I go on dates with. Like every week is 3 different men. And I line it up.
Whoa.
I schedule it. Yeah, because I have to get this done when the kids aren't here. So I have to get my date. And it's crazy how opposite we are, but we want the exact same thing. She doesn't want to settle. She's picky. I don't want to settle. I'm picky. But I'm like putting myself out there because I'm waiting for that, oh my God, you're the one moment, wow moment that, I had with my ex-husband. I saw him from across the room and was like, oh my God. It was like love at first sight. And I'm putting myself out there so hardcore because I want to find that connection. And it's going to be slim to none because I found it a decade ago and then a couple months ago. And I'm literally going on 3 dates a week with 3 different guys, and it hasn't happened again.
Well, I'm wondering, you talked about manifestation earlier, Tori, and what I'm hearing you tell yourself is that it's not going to happen.
Right.
I'm wondering if you might want to start telling yourself something else.
Yeah, I know.
But it can happen.
manifestation.
I would say it is happening. It is happening. What I have found valuable, because I have taken a similar path to Tori, and what I have found valuable is that I have learned through dating more about myself. I have learned through dating the areas that I need to grow, the areas that I need to love more, accept more, the areas that I exactly just thrilled about, like loving about myself. So dating for me has given me a lot of opportunity to practice a new way, to practice a different way that will benefit me down the road. I don't see dating like I'm on this destination per se where I have to find, quote, the one. Dating for me has been a great therapeutic experience to really learn about myself and accept and love myself even more. Be like, you know what, Sadie, you are getting there. You're getting to where you want to be. And it's all about how I see myself. And so dating for me has been a huge gift because I'm just practicing. You go on a date and you practice a new skill. And like anything in life, the more you do something, it's repetition. You get better at it, right? I'm getting better at being direct. I'm getting better at saying what I want. I'm getting better at standing up for myself. I'm getting better at, giving clear boundaries. I'm just getting better at all these things that I wasn't really good at when I was in my 20s and early 30s before I got married. So for me, dating is this adventure and I'm learning so much about myself. So it's not even really about the guys. And I'm dating a lot of guys. And you can do it long distance, by the way, Miss Rebecca. And we can talk about that after.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Lots of
can.
video chatting. I'll be in Miami on Friday with a friend, and I'm excited. But anyway, my point is, dating for me, I've just kind of flipped it. Like, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's nothing about these guys right now because I'm not ready for that person. I might really never want to be, per se, in the sense of being married again, right? But I want to be loved and I want to be known. But to get to that point of intimacy, I have to be really comfortable with myself and accepting of myself and loving of myself and knowing myself. So for me, that's what dating has been for me since my divorce. Very different than when I was in my 20s and I was like out on the hunt for the husband hunt, lady.
Tori, how do you put yourself like kind of out there or meet people without going on dating apps and stuff? I think that's, the other challenge for me is like, I don't even know where to go to meet anyone.
I don't leave my house. I work from home and I go to school virtually. I'm in college full time and I work. I don't ever leave my house ever. So I can only use dating apps.
And I can just say from my experience, so I hated online dating, but I had to shift the story. And much like Sadie was saying, I used it as an experience and a learning experience and thought about it more as a journey. And I had to tell myself that it was just a tool that I could choose to use or choose not to use. And I could decide that it could work for me. And I decided that it would work for me. And interestingly enough, I didn't meet my man through a dating app, but along the way, I did get to practice all those new skills that I was, in the 6 years that I've been divorced, I was trying to become the partner that I knew I had not been in my previous relationships. And so dating for me gave me the opportunity to practice. And it's interesting because my skill set that I was practicing was very different. I was very assertive. I knew how to stand my ground. I needed to learn how to soften my approach and be more feminine and relax into, going with the flow. So the things I was practicing were very different than what Sadie was saying, but it still was something I needed time and time to practice, the opportunity to do that.
Well, this has been absolutely delicious and I think could talk for hours, but I want us to end this conversation with talking about when we think about our children, what is the feeling that we have beyond the word love? What is the feeling that you have when you think about
protecting and security?
Wonderful.
Well, my kids are grown and the tables have turned. They think they need to take care of me. It's kind of nice. They want to buy my dinner. They want to, it's really nice. Sweet. And it's a hard thing to let them do that. I'll say that, say, oh, no, I get it. But they need to do that. And it's a sweet time. So that's where you'll get someday. It's a very sweet time. That's your reward for the help. No, I don't regret any none of it's fun at times, but I think keeping an open mind, and like you say, like Tori putting yourself out there, and Rebecca getting out there more, and Sadie getting out there more, and Shauna got out there, and and really Nicole, all of you, everything that you do is going to put you on a path of who you are. And, you'll find yourself, and that's when it's just a sweet time, and you can just present yourself to, someone you want to spend your life with, maybe you don't, but you have the guts to say you don't. Or do, you'll know what you want to do. And that's huge. I could have never arrived there if I hadn't gone through a divorce and grown through all these things. That's sometimes it says you just need that. You need a little kick in the butt.
So Nicole and Shauna and Miss Rebecca and Susan, when you think about your children and motherhood and this act two that you're living, what are the feelings that come to mind?
Well, mine's short. It's one word. I'm so immensely proud of my children, all the way from the 8-year-old to the 27-year-old. They're just amazing human beings. And the fact that their mom has been divorced 100 million times and has not, turned them into horrible human beings, that speaks to their resiliency. I'm super proud of them.
For me, it's strength, because that's what they give. They give me that to keep fighting, to keep going. And so that is definitely one of the foundations that I want to continue.
When it comes to thinking about my kids, I would say obsession, because I am completely obsessed with my little girl. She's my best friend. My act two would definitely be wisdom, because oh my goodness, I feel so much smarter after this divorce. I may not be book smart, but I feel so I feel so people smart.
I love it. That's awesome.
I learned so much.
Mm-hmm. And you'll keep learning. That's the wonderful thing about it. Mm-hmm. I'm 2.5 years in, and I'm still, we're always learning, but I'm still learning about my new life here. I'm grateful. How about you, Susan?
Well, like Janet and Shauna, I have older kids now. They're not kids, they're young men. I think my word, if I had to put it in a word, it would just be connection. I think my connection to those guys is so deep and strong. I don't know if it would have been this deep and strong had it just been a marriage that went along, however good or bad it was. I think we've formed these bonds that are so fulfilling. And I'm really, really grateful for that.
I resonate. Well, this has been just so beautiful. I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate you coming here tonight and sharing a bit about your story and where you're at, the powerful, the playful, the pragmatic. We've covered it all, ladies. And I thank you so much. I hope you all have the most amazing Mother's Day, and just keep on loving yourself so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sadie.
Thank you. Love it. Thank you. You too.
It was great meeting all of you. You're all so awesome to hear your stories.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please be sure to follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can also follow Sadie's Divorced and Happy podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And be sure to visit us at divorcedandhappy.net. I want to thank all of the moms who joined me in today's conversation. Susan, Janet, Shauna, Tori, Nicole, and Rebecca. You ladies inspire me and remind me that I'm not alone on this journey as a divorced mom. It's a shared experience. We wish all of the moms listening a very happy Mother's Day month. Be sure to do something extra delicious for yourself. I'm your host, Sadie Marie, and I cannot wait to connect with you on our next podcast episode. Till then, you take good care.